This is the Chatter Squadron Weekly News Roundup, the best source for Star Wars news in the galaxy. Chewie, get the holonet up and running again. We don't want to miss the show.
Preset of settings.
Yeah, wouldn't it just be settings?
These, well, it's a preset I've made of settings.
It's a preset of settings.
Yes. Preset of settings. That just sounds like settings.
Shut up. Hey, and welcome to the Weekly News Roundup. I'm Mike Calhoun, and I'm being roasted by Johnny Trowbridge and joined by my sippy friend, Tyler Bucks.
I do often describe him as the sippy friend.
Yeah.
I've been described as a sippy friend. Almost like a shippy
know what,
friend.
Tyler?
You're
You're a sippy friend.
That's a good one, Johnny. We got a lot of news for you. I don't know. This was a weird way to come in, but it's okay. I'm feeling good. We're feeling good. I'm drinking some tea out of my Cleveland Bagel Company. Oh, I'm not even showing the logo. Show off that logo, Mike. There we go. Cleveland Bagel Company.
Not a sponsor
Shout
yet.
out to you. No, not yet. But you know what is a sponsor?
What?
Man, I can't think of anything. I was gonna.
That's great. We're your weekly dose of Star Wars fun and positivity. Today is the Weekly News Roundup, where we're going to round up the news for the week. Calhoun, do you want to tease some of this news?
I can tease you right now.
Okay.
I can just say a name: Richard E. Grant.
Oh boy.
He's going to be in Star Wars.
Are you going to tease these stories like Johnny was just teasing you?
Yes.
Okay.
Only not as mean.
Oh.
Richard Grant has spoken on the levels of secrecy that the production of Star Wars has to go through to make sure that leaks don't happen. And it actually sounds like he made it.
It sounds like he decided to
Use
say,
his acting skills to make something up on the spot.
how can I make this almost secret society idea seem real? But I don't know. It's probably true. Why not?
I mean, I actually do believe it, but it does. At first, I was thinking he was just doing a bit,
Right.
Because I was reading what I didn't watch him say it, so who knows? But it was absolutely bonkers. But we'll get to that. We'll get to the specifics. That's going to be our first story.
And we're also going to be talking about another wild ride, like the news this week, is the Resistance ride. How long is it going to be? What type of things are you going to be able to see in it?
How many old women you have to beat with a stick to get to the front of the line?
2.
That's in here, actually,
that's-
as well.
It's an algorithm.
But yeah, we're going to talk about that and kind of more of the details. Of course, that is opening in Anaheim this year's summer, June.
June, as Bob Iger said.
Accidentally said.
After that, we're going to be talking about some changes that have occurred over time to the ratings of the prequels. Actually, do we also talk about the ratings of the original trilogy?
I didn't put in the original trilogy. I kind of took prequels, and then I just sort of put in what Disney's ratings have been as well. But the prequels have had an up and down flow to their ratings, so we're going to kind of go into that because that does seem to be more and more of a important thing when people are deciding if they're going to go see a movie.
Oh yeah, I mean Rotten Tomatoes has become a gargantuan influence on movie revenue. Absolutely,
It was in the trailer for Solo.
it's been in most trailers. Like I think Bumblebee, the Bumblebee movie, relied heavily on advertising.
They're like, no, guys,
95.
it's actually good.
95%. Exactly. I think they knew that people were like, ugh, Transformers movies.
Well, I heard it was good.
I heard it was good
exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
We're also going to be talking about some of these possibility of new trailers for Episode 9. We will briefly touch on that.
And after that, more news about EA. EA can't seem to get itself out of the news, even if it's for doing nothing.
Yeah.
Or doing non-things. EA has, it's been said that they are preventing one of their developers that they publish for, that they've been preventing them from making a game. And that's simply not the whole truth.
The truth isn't really out there.
The truth
really. The
will
truth
set you free.
The truth will set you free, and the truth in this story is not really evident as to what is actually going on.
It's more of a rumor, or less of a rumor and more of just what someone wants to be true.
And this isn't the rumor week roundup.
No.
That's later.
That's our Wednesday episode that we don't release to the public.
Just
also
for
a
ourselves.
mouthful. Why would you want to say rumor week roundup?
Welcome to the rumor week roundup.
Maybe you're
The rural
Scooby-Doo.
rumor week roundup.
Scooby Doo,
Scooby-Doo says everything with an R.
where are you?
He does say that with everything with an R.
Of course, we have This Week in Star Wars History, brought to you by Battlefront. The Battlefront.
The McBattlefront.
The McBattlefront. Have you guys gotten the McDooku?
Yes.
Yeah, I thought that was a seasonal
Pretty gross.
thing.
It's a season. It's pretty gross. It's from the butt.
Yes.
Oh, zing.
And then what are we ending off this show on?
Oscar nominations.
There was a floating Oscar,
Yeah, I tried to grab it.
What is this I see before me?
a tiny
a
gold
Shakespeare
man.
joke.
The Academy Awards, they're taking place next month in February, and Solo has gotten a nod.
And we talked last week about the VES Awards,
Correct.
which we explained were very excellent stuff
Yep.
awards. So they're getting a nod there too. So it's interesting to see what's going to happen in the Oscars this year. I think they have a good chance, but we'll get into the competition they're up against.
Yes, we will.
So let's start it off with Richard E. Grant. Wasn't he one of our presidents or something?
Yeah, it sounds like he could be.
The worst one.
Isn't that the most like president name?
It does sound like a
Richard
presidential name from 1890.
Richard E. Grant for 2020.
If people have forgotten who Richard E. Grant is, he's a guy who was newly cast to episode 9 over the last 4 months, I'd say. And we've been speculating ever since what he's going to be playing.
Yeah, as Calhoun said, he's a newcomer to this whole franchise. He recently sat down and talked about the secrecy that is on the set, and I will go through this quote. And as we mentioned, it's a little far-fetched, but I don't happen to believe it's not true.
I kind of want to read part of it, so you read part of it, I'll read the other part.
Okay, he says,
I'll read only the punctuation.
okay, he says, it's extraordinary.
Period.
They don't give you a script.
Exclamation point.
It's extraordinary. They don't give you a script. You have to go down to a room where they have bodyguards outside, closed circuit television cameras, and it's printed on crimson pages so you can't photograph it. You have to read it in there and then leave. You're
Question mark.
You're given the pages on the day that you work, and you have to sign for them and sign out for them as well. There are security guards on the set.
Semicolon. Left parentheses.
I'm gonna read this last part after we discuss the first part, because the second
Okay.
part is it's a separate issue. It has nothing to do with the script,
Right.
But it's really funny. But the first thing, okay, you can tell that he's English because he used the word crimson.
I was about to say, why is it crimson? Whose blood have they used
Right,
for
right.
these scripts?
And why can't you photograph crimson pages? I feel like the only pages you can't photograph are ones that are made of reflective paper.
That's what it
Then-
is.
Oh, is that what it is?
I don't know.
Yeah, what?
I kinda wish.
That's true. What is up with the crimson?
I don't know.
What-
Yeah, everyone knows that cameras don't work on things that are red.
Is it-
What?
Oh, dang it!
Oh yeah.
Oh
our
man,
whole
Johnny,
set.
we told you.
What are you doing?
You
No
don't
one warned me.
You don't exist. You're just a floating head.
It's like green screen.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's natural
cameras.
green screen. But no, yeah, crimson for some reason, and also, do they have to like burn a candle and like the heat
Oh,
makes
yeah,
the
yeah.
words appear?
Squeeze lemon on it and put it in the oven, like the Declaration of Independence.
Could you give us a good Nick Cage talking about the crimson pages?
Oh, these crimson pages. If they weren't on crimson paper, I could easily photograph them, but I can't because they're all red. And
Our
everyone
founding
knows.
fathers put them on crimson to protect us from the future.
To protect us from the bloodshed that these pages represent.
The treasure.
Treasure.
Those movies are great.
Those are classic.
I did like the first one. I did like the first
And the
one.
second one.
Let me
We don't
read
talk
this-
about the second one.
Let me read the
But quickly,
continuation of this quote.
before that, closed circuit television
Oh, yeah.
cameras That's funny because did he ask when he saw the cameras and everything? Was he like, are those
he's
those
running them.
closed circuits?
Well, I think he just used the extended version of CCTV, which is just a security camera. Like if you see a security camera,
Right.
that's closed circuit because it's not connected to the internet. That's the only reason that it makes it qualified as closed circuit.
But couldn't he just say it was under video surveillance?
Yes, but he wanted to be more dramatic.
Closed circuit
It's on
television cameras.
on crimson. He just likes the word the letter C.
Crimson.
Crimson pages and closed circuit television sets.
I crinkled the
I crinkled the
Crunched
crimson
across
crunchy.
the gravel.
What's the last thing that he
Oh,
says?
man.
Because this also is kind of very
Right.
secret society-ish.
At first, I thought this was in regards to reading the script, but no, it's not. He says they give you a cloak over your head because apparently they have drones going over Pinewood Studios. So they try to take photographs of what people are playing. When he says they, I'm assuming he means journalists and bloggers and spies and stuff. But they have to travel between sets under a cloak. Like everyone
Just
is
like
Palpatine.
Harry Potter.
Everyone, yeah,
And-
a cloak of invisibility.
And in order to get through the door, you have to sacrifice some type of animal. You have to bathe your script in the blood of the animal. Make
Of the
them
innocent.
real crimson pages.
See, I thought that he was joking when he got to this point because I thought he was still talking about the script. So when he said they give you a cloak that you have to read the script under to hide your sin from God,
Yes.
something like that.
Or is it like referees in sports or whatever, where they put the thing over and they're like looking at the screen underneath it?
What's funny is that doesn't happen in soccer. They have a screen that is very visible to everyone, and like if you're sitting on the grass side, you can just kind of like look over and see what he's looking at. And I always wondered that, like, why secrecy for some sports? Why not for the others?
Because in America, we don't like people to know what we're looking at.
but then,
even
we
if
don't
everybody
trust anyone.
even if everybody knows they're looking at the play again, they're like, oh, I don't want them to know that I'm looking at
I
the play.
can't let them
Maybe
know.
they're Googling rules to football.
football rules.
Ooh.
And then they pull it up. Yes. No.
That's why all referees look just clueless. All right, that's awful. So referees do hard work.
Yeah, they do.
But what do we think about these stipulations? It seems necessary at the end of the day because people like us are just trying to get those bits.
Yep.
I'd love to know what he's playing. To be honest, I don't think it would spoil.
I mean,
anything.
I have a drone over there right now.
Oh, you do?
What's going on?
What's happening?
Well, let me just tell you, he didn't wear the cloak all the way.
Oh,
And I saw his arm,
Oh.
and he's wearing a sweater today. So,
so
Snoke,
am I. So is Tyler. You know what? It's a good sweater day.
Snoke
What?
wears a sweater.
Oh.
It's
Yes,
Snoke.
does
They
he?
both start with S.
Roger
Snoke.
Each Granch.
What?
Moving on. More details coming out about the Resistance ride.
Each branch.
That almost sounded like the French dressing joke we
oh,
made a
man.
couple weeks ago.
We're starting to
Good old French dressing.
delicious. Comes on your McDooku.
Oh, have you guys gotten the McDooku? Ask for extra French on the side. That puts it over
Everyone
the edge.
go to McDonald's today. Ask for the McDooku and ask for French dressing. That's it. If you take nothing else away from this weekly news roundup, that's what you should take away.
Details on the Rise of the Resistance ride. Travel and Leisure points out that Alicia Stella, a writer for Disney and More blog, claimed on her podcast the ride has more than 300 animatronic figures and could be up to 28 minutes long. So she's referencing a event, a ride, I don't know what to call it yet because we really don't know that much about it, at the new Star Wars land in Disney, which is called Rise of the Resistance, where apparently you get captured by the First Order and you have choices to make and you come face to face with Kylo Ren and all that type of stuff. But that's about all we know. But she mentioned something more specific when it comes to this At the same time, we need to kind of take it with a grain of salt because it's not coming straight from Disney. It's coming from someone who probably has some good sources.
Yeah.
But it's not set in stone. But what she does say is very interesting. That's what she was saying. But someone else weighed in on this, and I'll bring that up right now. The quote is, "This attraction invites you to be recruited to the resistance and stand up against the First Order. And you even come face to face with Kylo Ren. You make it through that, you get back to the planet, you'll be a hero for the resistance and celebrated throughout the land." Scott Trowbridge, creative executive of Disney Imagineering, reveals in a video. So Scott Trowbridge said that.
I actually knew about him before this.
Yeah?
I didn't know there was a Scott Trowbridge who worked there.
How did you find out?
Because I remember looking up something about someone. Who's he work for? Because I remember seeing that somewhere.
He's the creative executive of Disney Imagineering.
Yes, he was in the credits to a movie once,
Wow.
and I saw that. I was like, Scott Trowbridge. I wonder if we're not related.
I wonder if we're not, everybody. So what's the inside scoop then with your cousin
is-
Scott?
He's told me, just wait 5 minutes after, and you can see Kylo Ren smoking his cigarette.
We were talking about what this sounds like, and you guys experienced something similar when you guys were younger. You guys performed in something that was kind of like an interactive.
Something that you
play.
would, yeah, it was a play that you would, a group of people would walk in. They would walk into a specific scenario. You would do your scene, and then they would leave. One of the concerns of a 28-minute ride or experience or whatever it might be is the idea that it's 28 minutes, and then the next group comes in, and it's another 28 minutes. And the idea that we were kind of discussing is that it might be that thing where you do go as a group through a room or a scenario. There's all these animatronics doing their things, actors doing their things, and then you move on to the next place, and then they all reset and just do it again when the next group comes in, which is something that we did physically. We did that many times in this performance that we did, and it's definitely doable even for non-professional, well, not non-professional, but even
Untrained actors.
right. So I could kind of see that. I could see that happening.
I mean, in my mind, there might be some stages that involve just the group walking by themselves, or the group in a room that's kind of like a 5-minute escape room scenario. Like, you guys have been put in jail. What are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? And then, like, less than 2 minutes later, an actor for the resistance shows up and is like, "I found you guys."
Yeah.
And then they like unlock the jail door, and then you leave, and then they're like, we gotta sneak behind the, I can easily see how it would last 28 minutes without impeding the experience of others.
Right.
And they have the best performers in the world as far as like in park personalities. It's Disneyland, Disney World, so they'll be able to pull it off.
And
I can't wait to do it. It
part
sounds
of the
fun.
ride time might be you being captured. You're waiting. You might be waiting in like a room or whatever, and then the First Order comes and like, you're not supposed to be in here, blah blah blah, and then you get surrounded, and then you get taken into the Star Destroyer. All this stuff kind of happens. That can be like a good 3-5 minutes of you being led just into the ride itself.
Thanks for consulting your watch. I wanted you to be accurate.
Well, yeah. Let me take a look.
Oh, that's nice. Where did you
know.
get that?
I can't tell you.
Rolex.com.
Yeah, Rolex. Rolex.co.uk.
Oh, nice. That's sort of like the off-brand Lego brand.
Rolex.
Lago. Hey.
Hey.
You think I could tell them to let us on the ride twice if I say I'm here with my Uncle Scott?
Show them.
Scott Trowbridge.
Slip them your ID.
my work ID. Be like, yeah, I'm here with Scott, my Uncle Scott.
Oh, you.
No one
Oh,
would
you're
care.
you're another.
You don't know him?
Wait, you don't know? He's your boss.
Everybody has an Uncle Scott.
make some calls?
here. Sure. Rotten Tomatoes. Before I get into this, what are your guys' opinions on Rotten Tomatoes?
I don't like to eat them, but
Yeah.
also it's a good, I think that I always go by the critics' score and very rarely by the audience score.
I'd always take it with a grain of salt. I think any rating on there could fluctuate 25 points one way or the other, which doesn't mean it's a very powerful rating system, in my opinion.
Do you guys accept something else? IMDb?
IMDb is about the same too, and so you know what I like most? I think I like. I was gonna say Amazon's rating system, but theirs has just irregularities as well. So I don't really trust rating systems. I guess
If anything's below 40 on Rotten Tomatoes, I won't see it because I've been reluctant and been like, what do they know? And gone enough times to think below 40 that be like, nah, they know. So
I guess there are some instances where I could be, solid in my opinion or my assessment of their rating. Like if something gets a 1%, it's pretty good to guess that it's going to be a horrible movie. I mean, if that many people are rating it so low.
Well, it's the same thing as like 100% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Oh, yeah.
It's hard. If you're saying like that, there's a good 20% back and forth. But if something's reached that high, it has to be something's good about the movie.
Yeah.
Okay, so when it comes to Rotten Tomatoes, there is an article online. There's several that cover this more in detail, but I wanted to go over it. It's talking about the prequels, and then I put in the scores for Disney's Star Wars as well. The Phantom Menace started in 2005 at 62%. This is critic. And stayed in the 61 to 64% range for the better part of the decade. Episode 1 only became rotten in 2012 with the film's ill-advised 3D re-release. It went straight to 57% before slowly decreasing to the 54% critic rating that it is today.
Wow.
So it's currently sitting at 54% on Rotten Tomatoes. The film officially going rotten had an impact on the audience reviews too. It reached a high of 73% approval around the time of Revenge of the Sith's release before leveling out around 67%. It was
70. Wait, say the 70 digit again.
73%.
73 was the highest that Attack of the Clones had.
No. Phantom Menace.
Phantom Menace. Okay, excuse me.
Before leveling out at 67%. So that was around the time of Revenge of the Sith. It was only in early 2007 when its score dropped down to 60%. It is currently at 54% critic and then 59% audience score
about right.
for Phantom
That's a
Menace.
fair assessment.
that's about what I
50s
pictured.
range.
Yeah.
A good 20% of that is just for the end battle.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It gets an automatic 33% just because of the Duel of Fates.
Right.
Attack of the Clones, it was on 64% at the start of 2005 and is on 65% at the start of 2019, with it only ever going as high as 67%. This is what happens without a major chance for new reviews to present discussion. That said, the impact of certain events can be seen. The film dropped from 67% to 65 in late 2015, reflecting some degree of revelation to coincide with the re-evaluation to coincide with the release of The Force Awakens. So, not a huge drop there.
Not a lot of changes. I suspected that Attack of the Clones was going to have the most significant change. Like, I thought it would start off real low, very low, and then slowly creep up to where it was. But I'm actually surprised that it only fluctuated one way or the other, maybe 6 points.
It's actually the opposite of that for the audience score.
It went up.
It was around 70% at the point when Revenge of the Sith hit, but then shot down to 66% at the start of 2007 at a similar rate and time to The Phantom Menace. It gradually recovered to a fairly impressive 69%, but soon found itself deprecating first it dropped to 66% in 2012, then to 60 in 2013. So it's currently at 66% critic and actually 56% audience.
It'd be appropriate if Revenge of the Sith was 66.
Oh my God, can we make that happen?
Speaking of, hey, let's get over there.
Jack the ballot box.
Revenge of the Sith, actually, when you mention it, after initially getting a 83% upon release, it steadied out to 80, only dropping 1 point to 79% with Star Wars The Force Awakens release.
Yeah.
The audience score, on the other hand, is all over the place, and this is why I was
sure.
interested in talking about this. It started off at 96% for the week of release, slowly leveling out around 85% for the rest of the decade. Then in the fall of 2010, this is interesting. 32 million new votes caused it to plummet to 64%. 2 years later, in 2012, October, a further 1.5 million had seen it settle to 65%. The score it holds to this day. The extremity of this cannot be understated. Revenge of the Sith currently has 33.6 million votes on Rotten Tomatoes, 32 million of them cast in the same month in 2010, causing a 20-point drop. In comparison, since its release in December of 2015, The Force Awakens only has 229,000 audience votes, and The Last Jedi has 204,000 audience votes.
Wow.
So something happened.
Yes. Did anyone investigate as to what may have occurred in that month?
Sounds like a glitch.
That is bonkers.
I don't believe it's a glitch because I'll get to The Last Jedi's ratings.
Maybe
in a second
they were
here.
just processing all the votes really slowly. And then they're like, oh, we
Hey,
forgot all of these.
Did you ever process those votes for the Revenge of the Sith? And it's someone who has been putting it off for a while. They're like, there's millions of them, legitimately millions. All right.
Idiots.
Hang on, let's talk about this for a brief second. Revenge of the Sith, when it was released, the audience vote was 96. People thought that this was the next Return of the King, Lord of the Rings masterpiece that won like 8 Oscars. What? Are you kidding me?
Johnny likes it.
I like Revenge of the Sith.
But liking it means you could have given it a
I like it more than-
61%.
I like it more than Return of the King.
You're insane.
No, I'm joking.
Oh my God.
I wanted Calhoun to fight me.
I was about to move. I was like, well, I got to remove my earrings. I take off my gold chains. And
I got to take off my Rolex watch.
yeah.
Rolex watch.
For all the listeners, they have to go watch the video now to find out all this jewelry I'm wearing.
Yeah, he's slaying the day over there.
But seriously, isn't that... Come on. Can we agree that that's insane?
Well, the fact that it quickly dropped to 85% shows that that wasn't
film of all
necessarily. Yeah.
have you heard of the tragedy that reached the man?
Yeah.
96%.
So Revenge of the Sith currently sits at 76 or 79% critic and then 65% audience. The audience score, with all that weird controversy, I'm not going to really hold that against it. I don't. You know what I mean? Like millions and millions of votes being cast in 1 month.
Yeah, it means nothing.
Yeah. While we're looking at these scores, let's go through Disney's Star Wars. The Force Awakens is at 93% critic, 87% audience. Rogue One is at 84% critic, 86% audience. The Last Jedi is at 91% critic and 45% audience. So here's one of the things when it comes to that. It has almost as many votes as The Force Awakens does when The Force Awakens came out 2 years later. And also, I don't know if we covered
You mean
it.
when The Last Jedi came out 2 years later, it now has the amount of votes that The Force Awakens had
close to.
at this point. I
Right.
see.
And as we covered on the show a while ago, there were sites and anti-Disney people who were taking credit for spamming.
Yeah, I remember
that. So that's another kind of a Revenge of the Sith thing, I would say, of I don't
It
know.
could have been organized. you
Yeah,
mean?
who knows
Yeah,
exactly.
it's possible. I definitely think that just the presence of negativity towards that movie would make some people's minds change enough to be like, you know what? They're right. I am gonna go leave a poor review. And it's just like you haven't even seen the movie in like a year.
I'll put it this way:
But you watched a YouTube assessment.
I enjoyed The Last Jedi, and I haven't gone to Rotten
Me either.
Tomatoes.
I haven't rated a movie on Rotten Tomatoes since 2010. You know,
Yeah.
why do I care?
I have that rating that you did actually down here. You said, and I'm just
for the
kidding.
Matrix.
You said the
I
Matrix.
wrote a review for the Matrix.
99. What was the 1%?
Did you give it 100?
No, he didn't. He gave it a
What?
99.
What? The Matrix?
Yeah, you give it. What was the 1%?
Oh, the 1%. You know, I just didn't like that they didn't hire me to help make it.
Oh,
So that was the
That's the
one
1%?
grievance I have.
Too
I
much
guess.
green.
how old were
A
you
lot
at
of
the
green
time?
in that
Not
movie.
enough green. What were you saying?
How old were you at the time?
I would have been 8 years old
That's right.
at the time of the release.
You could
Now,
have been a best boy. Could have been the
I-
best boy.
The best boy. I would have been the best boy.
That's incredible. Solo, which we will get to their Oscar nominations later, and then I also put out the question: does Solo deserve an Oscar? So we'll get to that at the end of the show. Solo is at 70% critic and 60% audience. All right.
Wow, that's kind of low.
I know.
That's silly. That's just silly for me. I mean, I don't have to defend this movie because there's no negativity coming at this movie. It's just simply absence of eyeballs on it.
Yes.
We need more people to watch this movie to be aware of how good it is. I will preach the good word of Solo until my dying day because I went into it like a skeptic, like these people that are voting, maybe giving it low votes or giving it no confidence. Goodness, it is a great movie, and I hope all of these nominations that it's receiving rekindle people's interests.
Is it in your top 3 Star Wars movies?
I think it is. I
Dang.
honestly think it is, or top 4 maybe. So it's tough now.
So I want to blast through this news.
Open the
on
blast doors.
The episode 9
I want to
trailers.
open the blast doors.
From WeGotThisCovered.com, they said, but while we've already reported on rumors that a teaser might be airing during the big game, being the Super Bowl, a new report relayed by Express has gone as far as to suggest that 3 separate 30-second slots could be on the card. So let me point out some things here. They said a new report relayed by Express. So this isn't even their report. And then they also, before that, said, we've already heard rumors. So now they are talking about rumors. They're reporting on something that another company already reported on. And then they say 30-second slots could be on the cards. There's a lot of coulds, rumors, they said this, and now we are putting out there that there's going to be 3 trailers for...
I heard there's going to be 4.
You heard it here first, folks. Every single commercial during the Super Bowl is going to be a new trailer. The entirety of the movie will be played out during commercial breaks of the Super Bowl. Are you hearing this?
There's not even a Super Bowl anymore. It's just the movie.
It's just the movie. The Super Bowl is canceled. Episode 9 is on. That's why they do the Roman numerals for the Star Wars.
You'll go be like, wait, it's not the 9th Super Bowl. Oh!
And that's the name. That's the name of the next Star Wars. Star Wars Episode 9, Super Bowl.
And it's just the Super Bowl.
But with just the
You
themes
show up
playing.
to the theater and it's just the Super Bowl.
But that's the thing. I can make our thumbnail for this video the entirety of episode 9 to play out during the commercials of the Super Bowl? Question mark.
And someone will believe it.
Right. And someone will report.
Someone really wants to believe.
Another website will say, on a podcast, Chatter Squadron, they said,
Hey, I hope Express picks us up. That'd be great. Great traffic for us.
let's get away from that
I
because
love
we
that-
already broke that story.
Right.
There's nothing much to really talk about.
I forgot that Express was even a publication because when you said that, I just thought of the clothing company.
That's what
and
I
I was
thought,
just like,
too.
Express is getting into news now about Star Wars.
No, that is the clothing company. That's
Oh,
why
yeah.
it's so
That's why-
wishy-washy.
yeah, it's a really reputable source because they
Yeah.
have so expensive ties.
Yeah, three 30-second trailers. Also buy our ties.
And we'll tell you which commercial breaks it happens if you buy a bow tie this weekend.
This rack is shirts. This rack is chinos. Over here, we have the entirety of episode 9 playing, and then over here is sweaters.
EA is not allowing BioWare to make KOTOR 3.
What?
So that is the title of Johnny's.
What?
That's a title for an article. They're putting their thumb on the man. We can't get
Yeah.
KOTOR 3. Once
Gotta
again,
victimize someone.
we've talked about the fact that we don't really like that EA is the only person covering.
Could have just ended the sentence.
We don't really like EA. But when it's a story like this, and I'll get into why it's just not a story. When it's like this, we kind of have to say, hey.
Yeah, well, we want people to be informed with actual facts. Because we have people that reach out to us. We love when our listeners reach out to us, and we want people to ask us our opinions on things like this. Like, hey, what do you guys think of EA not letting BioWare? Well, we'll tell you, and we'll tell you right now.
It's almost like we're rounding up the news for the week.
yeah.
We're the Snopes of the Star Wars news.
We try to
Snoke?
be.
We're the Snokes.
we're the supreme leader Snopes.
Yes.
Yeah. The story that isn't really set in stone, but was getting passed around due to the headline of ScreenRant.com, the headline being just that, like, KOTOR 3 is being canceled or not letting them make it or whatever it was. I didn't even write it down, and I apologize. Their article was based off of this tweet from Kotaku's Jason Schreier. So we talked about Kotaku last week.
Yep.
When it came to them, EA canceling one of their future Star Wars games. So they're back in the news here. It was just a tweet by someone on Twitter, said, you know what Star Wars game has a good scoundrel pro tag? KOTOR. Not sure I'd want today's BioWare making a new KOTOR, however. And then Jason Schreier says, they've tried to make it happen. More than once from what I've heard, no luck. That's the meat of that story. That's the story right there.
So then someone extracted from that EA, the evil publisher, will not allow BioWare to make it. Could be a case like we recently saw breaking news yesterday with Metroid Prime 4. I don't know if you guys are familiar with other video game news, but Nintendo is canceling the production of Metroid Prime 4 and starting from scratch. And they're consulting with the studio that made Metroid Prime 1, 2, and 3.
I see.
Now. So people are commending them for this. They're like, thank goodness, because we hadn't heard any news. We were worried. We didn't know what kind of game we were getting. We haven't seen a Metroid Prime in years. So the fact that they took the risk of canceling it, starting over fresh, shows that they have some sort of insights that we don't.
Right.
And video game companies as big as EA and BioWare have things going on behind the scenes that we don't know.
Right, and if Jason has heard about this, it might just be one of those things. I mean, if you have a day job listening to this and watching this, you can go to someone in your another company or whatever and say, hey, what about that merger or what about this? Oh no, not right now. It happens in business. If BioWare is saying, hey, can we make KOTOR 3? And they're just like, no, not right now. We have a lot on our plate. People literally hate us.
Yeah.
We're trying to figure things out, and maybe we don't want to spread ourselves too thin. They should be spreading themselves more and more of. I'm talking
More evenly?
not just EA. I'm talking about the Star Wars name.
yes,
They should
yes.
be spreading it out a little bit more. But I totally understand from their point of view being like, maybe don't make an entire game because we don't even know if we're going to own it next year or however it's going to be.
Who knows?
Yeah.
And besides, with a new KOTOR, maybe they want to do something new and they could have a Fallout 76 situation. You know, like what if they wanted to try new aspects or be like, let's try something fresh, and then it falls flat. You know, they can't really risk. Companies don't want to take big risks sometimes. Almost all the time.
Let's try spinning. That's a good trick. Would you like
Let's
to do?
spin into this next story. It's about excuse me.
It's actually not a story. It's this week in Star Wars history.
Excuse me. Well, brought to you by our friends over at the Battlefront.
The Make Battlefront.
The first piece of history we have is brothers Tim and Greg Hildebrandt were the creators of the early poster for the first Star Wars for A New Hope. They were born on January 23rd, 1939. And we'll post the picture here of the poster in question. But it's the one where Luke has the lightsaber over his head and Leia is below him in like a power stance, like, oh,
With a
she's got
pistol.
a blaster. Moving on to, another event that occurred on January 23rd, this time in 1998, excuse me. Ross Beedman, yeah, thanks for that. That was a gentle pat.
A gentle pat.
Ross Beedman, who played a certain Padawan named Soars Bandim, who was famous for the line, Master Skywalker, there's too many of them. What are we going to do?
Wait, when was he born?
He was born in 1998.
What a young man.
Here's something I just realized about his name, Ross Beedman, and then his Jedi name, Soars Bandim.
Oh, goodness.
It's
definitely an acronym.
Acronym for Ross is Soars, and then Bandim, they just got rid of the E. What?
No, it's all there. It's all there.
It is all there.
Mhm.
Oh, it's just an acronym for his name.
Yeah, typical Star Wars. I mean, the thing that we posted the other day of creating your Star Wars name
Yes,
was very fun, and I'm glad a lot of people participated in that. If you didn't see it, or if you want to do it, if you want to try it, it's on our social media, specifically Instagram. It's a lot of fun. Mine was Mithun.
Mithun.
Which is kind of cool. It's like,
How do you do it? How do you do it?
Okay, so backstory to this post. It was one of the first pictures I made when I started doing this stuff.
Okay, great.
Was that, here's your Star Wars name thing. It is the first two letters of your name,
J-O.
J-O.
the first two letters of your father's name,
S-T.
and then the last two letters of your last name.
T-R. Jostar.
Last two letters of your last
last
name.
2 letters, so G-E.
Josteja. Or
Dostej.
Jostega.
Jostage.
With maybe you could put an apostrophe in there.
Yeah.
Well, I like
Jostga.
Joska.
Joshka.
Jostga.
And mine is Tyjax.
That's pretty good.
That was a cool one.
Hey,
I like
it's
that
me,
a lot.
Tyjax. Yeah, I got this chip. You can fly if you want to. I don't really use it.
kind of. I don't actually know how.
I don't know how to fly ships, so.
Last piece of Star Wars history we've got takes place January 26th, 2012. Ian Abercrombie passed away, the voice of Palpatine from the Clone Wars film and TV series.
I just
Shame
saw,
that he passed away in 2012. What a shame.
I just saw on Netflix that they still have all the seasons of Clone Wars. So if you haven't watched it, go watch it. You probably have Netflix or someone else's account.
Seek out the Boba Fett trilogy. I say that every time, but it's the best.
Find the Siege of Mandalore. That's my favorite.
Ooh, yes, very good.
I say find the first episode.
With I'm a Gundai. Oscar nominations for Solo, and then we will go to what some people think about if Solo should get an Oscar. If you want to pull up the Instagram.
I shall.
The Academy has honored the latest chapter in the Star Wars series by nominating Solo for the Visual Effects Award. Solo faces some serious competition as it's nominated alongside Avengers Infinity War, Christopher Robin, First Man and Ready Player One. So I happen to feel Ready Player One and Avengers are its biggest adversaries there.
You would think so because of the number of people that saw it. But did you guys see simply the trailer for Christopher Robin?
Yes.
Yeah.
Did you see? What was your opinion on how real all the characters looked, all the CG characters looked in that movie?
They look pretty good.
I was blown away.
Right. But there is a thing for me when it's just my brain that when I know something isn't real, it just doesn't, it's not real to me. If so, like Tarkin in Rogue One, he looked pretty real, but the fact that I knew he wasn't real made me see the seams in a type of way. But I know a lot of people who don't know that much about Star Wars and didn't put two and two together about Tarkin being, CG'd, that when I told them, oh, that was basically a computer generated model, they're like, oh, wow, I didn't know that. Because if you're not looking for it, it doesn't really become evident. But the fact that I knew that they didn't have a little teddy bear moving around and doing all that stuff, but I guess it looked good. I mean, I that's just my opinion.
Right.
I never really saw it and went, oh, that looks like they hired a teddy bear who's a really good actor.
What was the other one?
Well, there's Avengers, Ready Player One,
First Man.
First Man, which
heard.
I didn't see. I can't have an opinion on. So I can't say whether the visual effects in that are better or worse than the others. But I'm sure it's great, the visual effects in that movie.
Mm-hmm.
They have to be believable in some sense.
Right, in order to even get a nomination. But that's the thing. I posed the question to people, does Solo deserve an Oscar? On our Facebook page,
I didn't get a lot of positive feedback on the Instagram.
Craig T. Bryant says it's good, but not that good.
I don't think people understood quite what it's up for, which is upsetting. It's up for visual effects, and wow, I thought the opening, the worm lady, Lady Proxima, I thought she was spectacular, and she was a combination of practical and visual. I thought the whole Kessel Run scene was super unique. We've never seen anything like that in Star Wars. At least I think. We got to see that huge wide shot of that monster being sucked into I thought these were all really unique, creative things that would certainly be worthy of an Oscar.
And that's another thing. Solo is on Netflix as well. You can watch it right now on Netflix.
And two lesser I guess highlighted things from Solo. They did an entire CG character that looked completely believable. The four-armed pilot. What was his name? What was type of? He was a
Monkey Man.
What?
That's what we looked like. I don't know what his name was.
The guy who was voiced by Jon Favreau.
Yeah, I forget what kind of creature he was. Shame on me, but he looked great. I thought he looked spectacular. I mean, I believed that he was just another character.
And then Lando's robot girlfriend, partly CG on her as well.
Right. Well, they replaced all of her green suit parts with wires and gears and stuff, and that it looked seamless.
Radin Histrov says its musical score definitely deserves one.
Well, it didn't get nominated.
Well, it didn't get nominated, but I would say the score would deserve one.
The score's
Why not?
pretty good.
Yeah, I'd say. I mean, John Williams, and I mean we had pieces from John Williams, and then we had Jonathan
Kasdan.
No, he wrote it.
And he also did the music. Wouldn't that be cool?
I mean, that'd be really impressive. I'd just be jealous then.
What are some people saying on the Instagram?
We only have two. We've got one from Rogue Jedi 99. He simply says no. Good to know that you have faith in the movie. And then we have Callum Doran. It was a good film, not Oscar worthy. He claims there's too much SJW robot, etc. Well, I'd like to know what the etc. was because there wasn't even an SJW robot in the first place. He says, but overall it was quite good. You have weird opinions, Callum Doran.
So here's the thing with the social justice warrior thing about a fictional character who's fighting for robots' rights.
She wasn't even fighting for robots' rights. She just felt that they should have more rights.
That's the end of my thoughts on that.
Well, you're saying that's what the connection would be?
You have a problem with a social justice warrior type character who is fighting for fictional robots in a fictional universe to have fictional robot rights. That's all the robot was trying to do.
Good on you, mate.
So that's my thoughts on people's hate for that character.
Absolutely ridiculous. What a waste of breath. Okay, cool. That concludes the weekly news roundup. We've had one heck of a show, guys.
Would we like to tell people who we're going to have in the studio on Thursday
later this week?
Yes.
Sure. We might as well tease it off.
We brought in a Ouija board over the weekend. We are trying to conjure up some spirits to help us give us some news on the set of episode 9, but we conjured up someone else, and it seems to be the Force ghost of a specific robed Jedi who spent a lot of time on Tatooine.
A lot of them were robed.
Yeah, I was like among most
cloaked,
of them.
A specific
white
robe.
bearded, perhaps.
Yeah,
that's all I'll say.
Maybe even with a face.
Maybe
and
even
a lightsaber.
Maybe even a body.
Yes.
And he speaks
words.
Yes. But
Man, if that didn't paint you a vivid picture, I don't know what will.
What do you want? Hey, what do you want from us? You want a money? You want a money? What
are you saying?
What are you talking about?
You want a hey,
you want a
We're doomed.